After a 10-hour flight, my body felt heavy, my head buzzing with exhaustion. All I could think about was home. I imagined a warm hug at the airport, my mom's arms around me. That familiar feeling of finally being safe after a long journey. I replayed it in my mind the entire flight. Smiles, laughter, someone saying, "You must be so tired." But the moment I stepped through the doors, reality hit differently. My mom didn't smile. She didn't hug me. She barely even looked at my face. Instead, she pressed a folded piece of paper into my hand. "At home, this needs to be done first," she said flatly. "No welcome back. No, how was your flight? Just instructions." I stood there, suitcase still in my hand, trying to process what was happening. Maybe she was stressed, I told myself. Maybe she didn't realize how tired I was. I followed her silently, my excitement draining with every step. The house door opened, and I waited just for a second for things to feel normal again. For warmth, for familiarity. It never came. My chest tightened as I looked down at the list. Again, tasks, schedules, expectations. Not a single line that said rest. That's when the truth hit me, sharp and undeniable. After a 10-hour flight, my mom didn't hug me. She handed me a list. And in that moment, I realized something that changed everything. I wasn't invited home. I was summoned. Anna Collins had always been the responsible one. The independent soul who managed life on her own terms, living miles away from her family. She had built a life defined by discipline, work, and quiet achievements. But holiday seasons always brought her back home. A place that should have been filled with warmth, laughter, and reunion. From a young age, Anna had assumed the role of the helper in her family, always ensuring everything ran smoothly, mediating between siblings, and supporting her parents without question. Her golden child brother, charming and carefree, rarely had to lift a finger, while Anna quietly carried the weight of responsibility. She had grown accustomed to this dynamic, believing that her efforts were part of love and family loyalty. As she unpacked her suitcase, memories of past holidays resurfaced, the smell of home-cooked meals, the twinkle of lights on the Christmas tree, the excitement of reuniting with siblings. Yet, alongside nostalgia came the subtle unease she had learned to ignore. The unspoken rules, the gentle manipulations, the expectation that she would always serve. These patterns had quietly shaped her childhood. Anna glanced around her family home, noting familiar corners, yet feeling the distance that had grown over time. She realized that returning home wasn't just a trip. It was a test of patience, endurance, and self-worth. The audience begins to sense her internal strength, empathy, and the silent resilience that would define her actions throughout the story. Retention line: I always thought family meant support, not assignment. This section sets the emotional groundwork, allowing viewers to connect deeply with Anna's perspective before tension and conflict begin. Anna Collins stepped into her childhood home, suitcase in hand, expecting warmth and reunion. Holiday decorations sparkled around the living room, cheerful lights twinkling, yet the atmosphere felt oddly cold. The scent of baked goods and pine mingled, with a subtle tension she hadn't noticed before. Something felt off. Her mother, usually a beacon of guidance and affection, stood with an unreadable expression. Instead of the embrace Anna had imagined after the long flight, she was met with a list of instructions, handed over briskly, as if Anna's presence was a convenience rather than a joy. The contrast between the festive surroundings and the icy reception sent a jolt through her. Her brother, the golden child, chuckled lightly, slipping in subtle jokes at Anna's expense. "Oh, Anna will take care of everything, as usual." Smiles masking superiority. The cousins ran past her, oblivious to the growing tension, while parents busied themselves with holiday tasks, barely acknowledging her arrival. Each passive-aggressive comment, each carefully veiled taunt, left Anna questioning her perception. Was she imagining the slight smirk from her mother? Was the cold tone truly deliberate? She paused, forcing a polite smile, internally balancing the discomfort. The room, though decorated and seemingly warm, carried an undercurrent of expectation and control. Every word and gesture seemed measured, each interaction layered with subtle manipulation. Anna felt the old patterns of family dynamics resurfacing roles she had outgrown but had been quietly drilled into her over years of helping. Without question, maybe I'm imagining things. This section plants the first seeds of tension, showing the audience that Anna's return home will not be as comforting as expected. It establishes subtle manipulation, sets the emotional stakes, and makes viewers curious about how she will respond to these early red flags. Anna Collins barely had time to set down her suitcase before the bomb was dropped. Her mother, with the same calm but authoritative tone, announced that Anna would be in charge of watching her younger cousins for the entire holiday weekend. There was no question, no discussion, just a quiet expectation that Anna would obey. Her brother, the golden child, leaned back with a smirk, chuckling as if this was the most natural thing in the world. "You're so good with kids, Anna," he joked, as if that excused the assumption that she'd spend the next several days serving their every whim. His laughter, like to the ears of others, carried a subtle undertone of superiority and unspoken reminder of the role Anna had always been forced into. Anna froze for a moment, processing the sudden demand. She had flown across states, expecting holiday warmth, a moment to reconnect with family, and instead was handed responsibility that had nothing to do with choice. Her chest tightened, a mix of disbelief and simmering anger rising within her. Her parents, already packing for their own holiday trip, barely acknowledged the tension in the room. Their instructions were precise, their tone final. Anna realized she had become invisible in their planning her needs, her presence and her fatigue overlooked entirely. As she glanced around at the expectant faces of her family, Anna felt a quiet sting of betrayal. She had always been the responsible one, the fixer, the helper. But this wasn't gratitude, it was exploitation. The playful tone her brother used only amplified the insult, transforming what could have been a joyful reunion into an overwhelming sense of duty and resentment. Maybe they just needed help. Maybe I was overthinking. This section builds tension by showing the family's entitlement and the unfair expectations placed on Anna, keeping the audience emotionally invested and curious about her next move. Anna Collins felt the weight of the room pressing down on her as her cousins were practically dumped in her arms the moment she stepped fully inside the house. The children, energetic and loud, raced around without direction, spilling drinks and tripping over holiday decorations. Anna moved quickly, attending to them, forcing polite smiles while suppressing a growing frustration that threatened to boil over. Her brother, lounging on the couch with a grin, whispered jokes to anyone who would listen. "Anna's always so good with kids," he said, voice dripping with amusement, as if her role as the family's unpaid caretaker was a lifelong joke. Guests passing by chuckled lightly, unaware or perhaps intentionally ignoring the strain on Anna's shoulders. Every smile she offered was met with another helpful suggestion or casual jab disguised as a comment, and her mother continued unpacking and issuing instructions, her tone calm but commanding. Anna realized this wasn't about family, love, or shared responsibility. It was about control. Every movement she made, every small task she accomplished, seemed to fuel their assumption that she existed solely to serve. She tried to maintain composure, attending to the children's every whim while keeping polite, measured responses to her family's subtle digs. Inside, a storm was brewing. Anna's mind catalogued each insult, each smirk, each manipulation, like mental notes for a future reckoning. She felt the familiar mix of hurt and anger, but this time was sharpened by the clarity that she was being taken for granted, her efforts expected rather than appreciated. Her internal voice reflected a growing awareness. I smiled, but something inside shut down. The polite, composed exterior remained intact, but inside, her resolve hardened. The realization hit her she would no longer be silently consumed by their entitlement. Anna Collins took a slow, deliberate breath, forcing herself to remain calm as chaos swirled around her. The children still raced through the house, knocking over toys and decorations, while her brother chuckled at his own jokes. Her mother continued giving instructions, her tone clipped, precise, and controlling. Every comment, every glance, was a reminder of the unspoken hierarchy in the house, Anna at the bottom. But this time, Anna refused to react. No sighs, no raised eyebrows, no defensive words. She chose silence as her shield. Each moment she stayed quiet allowed her to observe. She noticed her mother's tiny tells, the way her fingers drummed when annoyed, the way her voice subtly shifted when she sensed resistance. Her brother's entitlement became glaringly obvious. He moved freely, confident no one would challenge him. Expecting Anna to smooth over any discomfort, Anna mentally catalogued every manipulation tactic, every joke at her expense, every unfair expectation. She mapped the power dynamics silently in her mind, noting who relied on her compliance and who would notice a change. Every action became data, the perfect foundation for a subtle, precise response later. Her calm exterior masked a mind working at full capacity. She adjusted glasses, shifted toys, answered questions, and guided the children, all without drawing attention to her growing strategy. Silence wasn't passive. It was power building quietly, invisibly. A single line resonated in her mind. Silence isn't weakness. It's preparation. Every word she didn't speak, every reaction she restrained, was a tool in her arsenal. The audience can feel her growing control, anticipating the moment she would turn the situation on its head, all while keeping her composure intact. Anna Collins straightened her posture and let the chaos of the house fade into the background. Her hands were steady, her voice calm, yet full of authority. She had observed, calculated, and waited for the perfect moment. Now was the time to speak, not with anger, not with drama, but with clarity that demanded attention. "I will help where I choose, not where I'm summoned," she said, her tone measured, calm, and unwavering. The words hung in the room like a sudden silence after a storm. Her brother, who had been smirking and joking just moments ago, froze. His confident grin faltered, replaced by confusion and a hint of fear. The casual entitlement he had carried like a badge no longer served him. The power dynamic had shifted. Her mother's eyes widened, mouth slightly open, caught off guard by the unexpected resistance. She had always expected compliance, automatic obedience, a nod to her authority, but Anna had set a boundary that couldn't be ignored. The parents exchanged subtle glances, uncertainty replacing their carefully maintained composure. The children, unaware of the tension, still played around them, but even there, incessant noise seemed to underscore the stark quiet between the adults. The room itself felt different, almost charged with a new energy, the calm authority of Anna now dominating. This one sentence, spoken without aggression, had done what months of internal frustration could not. It commanded attention, created respect, and shifted the balance of control. For the audience, this moment delivers a visceral payoff. The tension built over previous sections explodes quietly into empowerment, leaving viewers satisfied yet eagerly, anticipating how the family will respond next. I said one sentence, and the room went quiet. The moment Anna Collins spoke her boundary, the household energy shifted instantly. Her mother's carefully rehearsed composure cracked. The father, who had silently assumed Anna's compliance for years, looked bewildered. Her brother shifted nervously, the smugness in his posture replaced with doubt. For the first time, the family realized that their control over Anna wasn't absolute. Plans that had seemed certain, holiday trips, packed schedules, and delegated responsibilities suddenly teetered on the edge of collapse. The adults scrambled, exchanging hushed words, hurried gestures, and frantic glances. The carefully structured plans for the weekend, which relied entirely on Anna stepping into her helper role, were now in jeopardy. Guilt tactics emerged almost immediately. Her mother attempted to coax, subtly guilt Anna, "We just thought you'd help us, you've always been so reliable." But Anna didn't flinch. She had practiced restraint, holding back the anger and frustration that had bubbled beneath the surface. The manipulation that would normally work pressure, sarcasm, emotional nudges was powerless against her newfound composure. Even her brother tried to recover, cracking a half-hearted joke to mask his discomfort, but it fell flat. Anna observed every micro-expression, every hesitation, without reacting. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't argue. Her calm, confident presence became the anchor in the middle of the storm of panic. The children, oblivious to the adult tension, moved around freely, their noise highlighting the absurdity of the family's scramble. The family's attempts to maintain authority only underscored Anna's silent victory. For viewers, this section delivers the satisfying payoff they've been waiting for. Months or even years of internal frustration and anticipation are released, quietly but powerfully. Calm triumphs over chaos. Strategy beats emotion. Anna's subtle control over the room marks a turning point. The power has shifted, and the family can no longer take her for granted. I stayed calm, and they couldn't ignore it. After the storm of tension and silent power shifts, Anna Collins finally allowed herself to exhale. She had observed, waited, and spoken with precision. And now the outcome was clear. Her boundaries were respected, and her family could no longer treat her as they once did. With calm assurance, she gathered her things, ready to leave the house on her own terms. There was no need for a dramatic confrontation, no shouting or vindictive speech. Anna understood that true strength doesn't rely on spectacle. It's measured in dignity, composure, and the ability to walk away when respect is absent. Her steps were steady, her movements deliberate, each one reinforcing the silent authority she had reclaimed over her own life. As she stepped outside, the crisp air filled her lungs, and a sense of freedom washed over her. The weight of years spent complying, appeasing, and silently absorbing manipulation lifted from her shoulders. For the first time in a long while, Anna felt unshackled not by defiance, but by self-respect. In this quiet, personal victory, she recognized growth she hadn't fully appreciated before. Patience, observation, and strategic calm had earned her not only respect but clarity. She realized that family loyalty should never come at the cost of one's dignity, and that self-worth isn't given, it's defended and chosen. For the first time, I chose myself. The journey wasn't about revenge or punishment. It was about reclaiming power over her life, setting boundaries, and walking away with inner peace intact. Anna's story becomes a reminder: strength is quiet, and freedom comes from respecting oneself first. Anna Collins' experience is a powerful reminder. Setting boundaries is more important than appeasing guilt. Just because someone is family doesn't mean they get to take advantage of your time, energy, or kindness. Silence isn't weakness, it can be your strongest tool, when used with awareness and strategy. Many of us grow up thinking loyalty means compliance, but true self-respect comes from knowing your limits and defending them calmly. Anna chose to observe, plan, and assert herself without drama, showing that patience and quiet confidence can completely change the dynamics of any relationship. Her story encourages viewers to reflect on their own experiences. How often do we let manipulation or unspoken expectations control our lives? What would you have done in Anna's place? Share your thoughts and see how others handle family boundaries. Your insight might inspire someone else to reclaim their power too.